The marble floors echoed with every step as the elevator doors slid open. Ethan Kane, the 34-year-old millionaire and CEO of Kane Enterprises, strode through the vast, polished lobby of his Manhattan penthouse building. He wasn't supposed to be home this early. In fact, he was supposed to be in Los Angeles, locked in endless boardroom meetings and networking dinners, but something inside him told him to return, an impulse, a sudden tug at his heart he couldn't quite explain. Ethan had built an empire on being in control, on mastering numbers and strategies, but when it came to matters of the heart and soul, he often felt like a stranger. His parents had been absent most of his life, his mother too caught up in high society, his father too consumed by business, and Ethan had grown up in the shadows of cold, empty mansions. Success filled his bank account, but it left a vacuum in his chest. Tonight, as his key turned in the golden lock of his penthouse door, he didn't expect to hear anything. Usually, it was silent, his world was quiet, sterile, and meticulously arranged. But this time, faint laughter drifted toward him, echoing softly through the high ceilings. Ethan froze. It wasn't just any laughter, it was pure, light, filled with joy, the kind that hadn't touched these walls in years. Curiosity overtook him as he placed his briefcase down and followed the sound. And that's when he saw them. At the far end of his lavish living room, sitting on the expensive Persian rug that probably cost more than most people's annual salary, was a man in a janitor's uniform. His back was slightly hunched, his hands rough and calloused, but his eyes glowed with tenderness. Next to him was a little girl, no more than 10, her wheelchair positioned close by. Her hair was tied into messy braids, and her legs were fragile, bent in a way that told Ethan she hadn't walked in a long time. The janitor was holding colored pencils, patiently helping the girl shade in the outlines of a sketchbook. Every few minutes, he made a silly face or told a gentle joke, and the girl laughed with such unfiltered joy that it filled every corner of the cold penthouse. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He knew the janitor. It was Daniel Brooks, the night shift janitor in his office building. Ethan had passed him countless times without more than a nod, barely noticing him. A man invisible in the grand machine of his company. But here he was, in Ethan's home, with a little girl who clearly wasn't just any child, she was Daniel's daughter. For a moment, Ethan felt anger rise in him. Why was a janitor in his home, uninvited? Who had let him in? But then, before words could form, he noticed something that silenced him completely. Daniel was holding his daughter's trembling hand, guiding her fingers across the page. Her hands shook as though every line was a struggle, but Daniel didn't rush her. He encouraged her, whispered, "You can do it, sweetheart. You're stronger than you think." The girl, her name, Ethan soon overheard, was Lily, beamed at her father. "Daddy, look, I stayed in the lines this time." Tears welled up in Daniel's eyes. "I'm proud of you, Lily. You're my little warrior." Ethan felt something stir inside him. He leaned quietly against the doorway, unseen for a moment, and watched the scene unfold. The sterile silence of his penthouse had always made him feel hollow, but in that moment, with the laughter of a child echoing through it, the place felt alive, like it had been waiting all these years for warmth like this. Finally, Ethan cleared his throat. Both Daniel and Lily looked up, startled. Daniel instantly jumped to his feet, guilt flashing in his tired eyes. "Mr. Kane, I can explain. I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean." Ethan raised a hand. "Calm down. Just tell me why you're here." Daniel swallowed hard. His uniform was worn, his shoes scuffed, and his voice cracked with humility as he spoke. "The cleaning crew was finishing up on this floor. Lily was with me because, well, I couldn't leave her alone at home. She doesn't do well on her own. The others left, but when I saw your art supplies in the corner, Lily begged me to stay for just a little while. She loves to draw. I should have said no, but," his voice faltered. "She's been through so much, sir. I just wanted her to feel happy. I'll leave right away." Lily looked up with wide, innocent eyes, her small hand tugging at her father's pant leg. "Daddy, did we do something bad?" The question pierced Ethan's chest like a blade. For a girl so young, her voice carried the weight of someone used to feeling like a burden. Ethan stepped closer, his tone softening. "No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything bad." Lily tilted her head. "Then why are you mad?" He knelt down slowly, for the first time lowering himself to the level of someone else, not for business negotiations, but for something real. He met her gaze, those big, searching eyes full of innocence, and whispered, "I'm not mad. I just didn't expect to find something so beautiful in my home tonight." Daniel blinked in shock. "Sir," Ethan smiled faintly, "tell me about her." And so Daniel did. As they sat together in that vast living room, Daniel told Ethan about Lily's life. About the accident that took her ability to walk when she was only 5. About her mother walking out soon after, unable to handle the weight of raising a disabled child. About Daniel juggling 2 jobs, janitor by night, mechanic by day, just to keep food on the table, refusing to give up on his daughter. Lily chimed in with her own bursts of excitement, showing Ethan her drawings, telling him about her dream of becoming an artist one day, even though her hands sometimes betrayed her. Her laughter filled the air again, but this time, Ethan didn't just hear it. He felt it, deep in his soul. Hours passed without Ethan noticing. The millionaire who was always racing against time suddenly found himself wanting it to slow down. He saw in Daniel a father who had nothing yet gave everything, and in Lily, a child who had every reason to feel broken but chose joy instead. Something in Ethan's heart cracked open that night. When Daniel finally rose to leave, Ethan stopped him. "Wait, don't go yet." Daniel looked nervous. "Mr. Kane, I don't want to overstep." "You're not," Ethan said firmly. "From now on, this place, it doesn't need to be empty. I want you both to feel welcome here. Lily deserves better than a world that overlooks her. And Daniel, you deserve better than a world that doesn't see how extraordinary you are." Daniel's eyes glistened. "Sir, But Ethan shook his head. "No more, sir. Tonight, it's just Ethan." It was the start of something neither of them could have imagined. Over the next weeks, Ethan invited them often. He cleared out one of his grand rooms and turned it into an art studio for Lily. He hired physical therapists, not because he pitied her, but because he believed in her dream of walking again one day. And every night, as Daniel continued working tirelessly, Ethan found himself learning, not about profits and mergers, but about kindness, resilience, and what it truly meant to be family. The man who once lived in an empty palace now came home to laughter, to drawings taped on his fridge, to dinners that weren't eaten alone. One evening, as Lily proudly showed off a painting of the 3 of them together, her in her wheelchair, Daniel with his tired but proud smile, and Ethan standing beside them, she said softly, "I think we're like a family now." And Ethan, for the first time in his life, felt tears of joy instead of loneliness. Because in the unexpected kindness of a janitor and the unbreakable spirit of a little girl, he had finally found what all the millions in the world couldn't buy: love, humanity, and a home filled with life.